This conference will now be recorded.
So I started recording it. So once our session is completed, I'll share this video for your reference. I think she's calling me back.
This conference will now be recorded.
So most of the interviewer, what they will do, if they want to test whether you are good at the HDFS file system level or not. Okay, first they want to understand whether you are aware the Hadoop or not. Because some people directly they'll jump into the technology like Hive, Spark, and Scala, Python, that kind of thing. But few people will start ask the basic questions because those are more important. So if you well aware these basic questions, you can easily understand the file system. On top of that, what type of questions they ask, and you can easily answer. Okay, as we know that HDFS, right? So our file system is HDFS. So when I say Hadoop, when we say Hadoop, it is a two components. One is HDFS, other one is MapReduce. Since MapReduce no one is using these days, okay, there may be a legacy systems, but I don't see anyone is using this. It has been replaced with the Spark. So while discussing Spark, we will also discuss how Spark is different than MapReduce. We'll discuss that. Okay, let's talk about the HDFS. When we say HDFS, what we need to understand here, HDFS is a file system. HDFS is a file system. Okay, it is not a database. It stores the huge amount of the data. It stores the huge amount of the data efficiently, and it's easily managed, but it is not a database. Okay, so when we say HDFS, it stands for Hadoop Distributed File System. Hadoop Distributed File System. The name itself is saying it is a distributed file system. Okay, so it's a file system. So normally, what is a distributed file system? What is the distributed file system, and what is the difference between normal distributed file system and Hadoop distributed file system? The first interview question. What is the distributed file system? We'll call it as a DFS, distributed file system, versus HDFS. These were the questions in earlier days we used to get, but these days no one is asking these questions. But if they ask, we should be ready to answer. Okay, so when we say distributed file system, distributing our data into multiple machines and accessing from the one end, accessing from the single end. Okay, so let me give a simple example for the distributed file system. So we will be seeing, and our okay, let's say I have some kind of let's take a company called HP. Okay, HP, Hewlett Packard. So they're doing a laptop, and they have a printers, right? So their business is distributed across the world, right? Let's take a they are maintaining the different systems in the different countries. So they are dealing with the India, they are dealing with the US and UK and Japan. So like that, they have a different countries. So every country, they have a dedicated machines, they have a dedicated systems where they store the data. Okay, so whenever they want to process this data, they will directly connect to the India system, and they will process the data, they will take the results, and they will do whatever the reporting or whatever they will do. And similarly, whenever they want to do US data, whenever they want to process, they will connect to the US. And so here is what is happening. If when you don't have a distributed file system, every system you need to individually log in and process the data. Every system, every time you need to authenticate individually, and you need to process the data. When distributed file system came into picture, which is introduced by Microsoft, so all these systems will be connected to one network server. All these systems are connected to one network server. So
all these systems are connected to network server. Okay, what will happen here? This network server will call NFS, network file system, which is same as your DFS, network file system. Okay, so I'm a HP client. What I will do, I will directly connect to this network system. All these down layer systems are already connected to this, and they started sharing the data to the network file system. Then when they started sharing this, so they will be able to see the data here: India, US, UK, something, Japan, or whatever the country. So when the client is log into this system with his authentication or authorization process, when he connect to this, he will be able to see all the data in the single layer. All the data, he really no need to log into the different machines differently. He will be able to see all the data in a single layer. So what he assumes, oh, it looks all the data stored into single hard disk. It is not actually single hard disk. It is actually loaded into different machines. They started sharing the data to these machines. They started sharing to this network system, and the client is connected to that. So very simple example I'll tell you. In organizations, we'll be having a shared drives. In even colleges also maintain the shared drives these days. Universities are maintaining their own shared drives. So everyone will load the data there, or everyone will start accessing it. So everyone will have a login access. But suppose India, US, UK, suppose I'm a person who logged into this, because I will be handling only the India data. I'll be handling only India data. Okay, I'll be handling only India data. So this time when I log in, I will be able to see US UK data here, but I cannot access them because I don't have access. I cannot access. I will be only able to access India data only. Then I will process it. I'll copy it, or whatever the process I do, I'll come out. So it's exactly same as your shared drives in the university, colleges, or your in the current IT systems. That's called DFS, distributed file system. Okay. Now let's talk about the HDFS. Let's talk about the HDFS. So then I'll tell you the differences between them. You guys might have very well aware. He may ask, what is HDFS? HDFS is Hadoop distributed file system, which is 2 layers, which is a master slave architecture, which is master slave architecture. Which is master slave architecture. We'll call master is the name node. We'll call master is the name node. We'll call slaves are the data nodes. I hope you guys are aware of this.
Yes.
So these slaves are connected to the name node, and they will be keep sending the RPC protocol every 3 seconds. Every 3 seconds they have to send a signal. If they didn't send any signal with continuously 3 times, it means within 10 seconds, if name node didn't receive any signal from the data node, that data node will be considered as a out of the network or dead. So next, if anyone want to insert the data, that machine will not be considered. If anyone want to process the data, that machine will not be considered, because that machine is not sending any signal. So this is your edge node or gateway node. We'll call edge node or gateway node, or client. Some people call client also. So how this will work? This is also distributed file system. Here in the above distributed file system, the whole India data resides in one machine. The whole US data resides in one machine. Whole UK data resides in one machine. Whole Japan data resides in one machine. So while I'm processing, if in case of it is failed, my job will fail. I have to relaunch the job to, if I have a backup, so my backup machine will be connected and process it. And it's a sequential process. There is no parallel process here. And here the block size is very small. Here the block size is very small, like it's a 4 KB is the block size. And in this, you do not have a automatic replication, automatic backup. So even whatever the backup you have, it's a periodical backup, but you don't have automatic backup. And since it is not distributed, there is a lot of performance issues there. Okay, coming to the HDFS, suppose same I want to load India data. Suppose same I want to load India data. So while loading the India data to the machine, what will happen? This data will be break into pieces. The data will be when you write a put command or copy from local command, right, or move from local. Put, copy from local, move from local. These three commands are meant for the load the data into Hadoop. So when you execute that, the data will be break into pieces. So name node will allocate 3 machines because based on the configurations, it has a by default 3 is the replication factor, and 128 MB is the block size. Because these days no one is using 1.x, everyone is using 2.x. That's the reason I have taken my block size 128. So when the data will be divided into the blocks, the data when it comes to the edge node will go and talk to the name node, saying that I have a 3 replication factor. My block size 128. This data is belong to India, so please allocate the 3 machines. The name node will go through the. There are 2 policies. We need to understand those policies also. I'll write it here. So block placement policy. Please make a note. Block placement policy, and it has a rack awareness. Based on these 2 things, it will allocate the 3 machines, and those 3 machines will be given to this, and edge node will connect to those machines. Let's say in this case, these are the 3 machines, and the data will start pushing to this. Once the data is arrived here, it will send the signal. I mean, once the data arrives here, the same packet will be sent here. The same packet will be sent here. Then it will give the acknowledgement here. Then it will give the acknowledgement. This gives acknowledgement, and next it will take the next packet. Because data block size is 128 MB, 128 MB cannot pass through a network. It will divide into the packets, small 64 KB packets. So those 64 KBs will be transferred through a network. As soon as this is data node 1 stores complete block size, it will send the block report. As soon as it stores the complete piece of block, it will send the block report. And as soon as its completely piece is received, it will send the block report. So once these machines are received the block report, what your name node will do, there is a file called India. It has the 3 blocks: block 1, block 2, block 3. Block 1 is stored in machine 1, 3, and 4. Block 2, next process will also start. It may store 3, 2, 5. Block 3, it may store into 1, 2, 3. It is possible. It randomly picks based on these policies. Now, if similarly with the Japan data, so Japan data will US data. Next, suppose if I want to load the US data also will go as a, it will divide into pieces, then it will store. So what I'm trying to explain here is in the DFS, normal DFS, the whole data, India data resides in one machine. But when it comes to the in this cluster, Hadoop cluster, the whole data, India data is not resided in the single machine. It is moved to the different machines, different machines. So that's the advantage, and by default it has a replicas is 3, and by default is a block is a bigger block, so faster retrieval. It's not actually faster retrieval, since we are going to deal with a huge amount of the data. If you go with a smaller block, so you have to do a lot of seeks. There is something called seeking, so we have to deal with a lot of seeking. So that's a disadvantage. It will take a lot of time. Performance rate will be there. So that's the reason we the Hadoop come up with the block size is 128 MB. And also Hadoop's deals with a different file system. Here in this DFS, whatever it deals with a normal file system only. Like suppose if you are going with Windows, so NTF or whatever the things. If you are going with a Linux, so ext4, right? So those kind of file systems it will deal. But when it comes to the Hadoop, it is creating its own file system. Even though this is most important, guys, please make a note of it. So let's say you have a Linux box. So when you have a Linux box, what will have, you will be having a ext4 or whatever is the file system will be there. That file system will call local file system because it's a local to your operating system, then when you go with the Hadoop, right, what Hadoop does, when your Hadoop services are started, it will create one layer on top of this as a different file system layer. We'll call it as a HDFS. This HDFS is not local to operating system. That's the reason we'll call it separately. It's a remote file system you can call, or HDFS you can call. So if you're reading data anything through this file system, the block size is 128 MB. If you're reading the data through this file system, the block size will be 4 KB. So you should remember this difference. If you're dealing through HDFS, your block size is bigger. If you're dealing with the normal file system, your block size is 4 KB. So it means in a single machine, you have both the files, both the file system, not the files, both the file systems. In a single machine, single node, in the single node, you have both the file systems. Local file system is there, as well as Hadoop file system also there. Okay, so if you're dealing the data through LFS, like normal commands, ls, cp, mb, mkdir, that commands, the process will go through this normal, like ls, mkdir, copy, cp, your grep, your rm, remove, so not remote, remove. So if you are using these kind of commands, Linux commands, that will be dealing with your local file system. When you are dealing with the HDFS, DFS minus ls, HDFS, DFS, mkdir, HDFS, DFS minus cp. If you're dealing like this, if prefixing with the HDFS, DFS or Hadoop FS, it means you are dealing with the Hadoop file system. So you should know this difference. Please make sure that you completely aware this difference. This is a major part plays roles, because most of the time what will happen, even I have observed in the trainings, so people will get confused with the local file system and Hadoop file system. So whenever they want to execute a command on a Hadoop, they will be executing on they will be executing the normal ls commands, I mean Linux commands. When they want to execute the commands on the local file system, they will be using the Hadoop commands. And sometimes they will load the data into the local file system in the Linux, and they will be searching into the HDFS. It will not be there, because those two are different layers. So they will be load the data into the, let's say I have a directory called /user/Vera. So that is my local, that's my local. Okay, /user/Vera/ some data is there. In that I have loaded some data. That is my local. Similar kind of name can be there in the HDFS also. Similar kind of name, a path can be there in here also. Similar kind of /user/Vera/data, whatever the data you're passing, putting here. Similar kind of path can be there here also. /user/Vera/home user Vera, something it can be there here. So what will, you should be very much clearly aware that if you're loading any data here, it is not going to reflect here. It is not going to reflect here. No, it will not, because it's a local file system. Suppose if you load anything here, it will not reflect here. So you should be very much clear about these two segregations. Any doubts so far?
No.
Pramod?
No doubts, Ravi.
Okay. Mahesh?
Yeah, Ravi, I'll be joining my office call, so I'll be on mute in this call. Okay.
Sure.
But I'll be listening to this one. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Mahesh, you are clear, right? Okay. Let's move on to the next. Mahesh, I'm not able to hear you. Maybe some network audio issue. Now, so okay, sir, we have discussed all this stuff. So what is the difference between DFS versus HDFS? Very simple, guys. Very simple. In a HDFS, in the DFS, I better make a note here. DFS, HDFS. Here block size is very small. Here block size is bigger. Here, not fully distributed. When I say not fully distributed, whole data, specific data resides in a specific machine. Single machine. But here specific data will be, it's a fully distributed. It's a fully distributed. It's a fully distributed because the specific data will distribute across the multiple machines. Across the multiple machines. When I say multiple machines, in the form of blocks. In the form of blocks. Third point. No auto replica. No auto replica. When I say replica, it's a duplicate. Here we have a replica. Automatically replicates. Auto replicates. Here no auto fault tolerant. Auto fault tolerant. Auto fault tolerant. It is auto fault tolerance. Auto fault tolerance means in case of one machine fails, automatically it picks the data from other machine. Automatically it picks the data from other machine. Suppose, let's take an example. I'm processing the block 1. This machine is failed. So block 1 is there in the other machine. Fourth machine, I'll take on the fourth machine. That's possible. So automatically it will fault tolerated. Here you have auto fault tolerance. Okay. Here no parallel process. On same data. Here we have a parallel process. Suppose if I submit a MapReduce job, so block 1 will be processing machine 1. Block 1 will be processing machine 1. Block 2 will be processing machine 5. Block 3 will be processing on machine 3. So parallelly it will process. I hope you guys making a note. Here, no data locality. It is code locality. Code locality. What is data locality? What is a code locality? Data locality. So I have a data here. I have a data. I have developed a job. That's my code. My code. In Hadoop, what will happen? Your data will not move. Data will be there in the data machines, data nodes only. You are sending your code. You are sending your code to the data in the form of jar. Okay. You are sending the code to the data because data may be hundreds of GB. Let's say I have a 100 GB here. 100 GB. So I don't want to move 100 GB. My code, how much it will be? Hardly 100 MB. My whole project will be 100 MB or 200 MB or 300 MB. Depends, right? So instead of downloading 100 GB, I'll just upload my code which is 100 MB. So it will go there and parallelly process, it will come. And when I say code locality, I have a data here. I have a code here. So here the data will be downloaded to the code. The code will be running on some server or some place. Okay, here the code will be running and the data will be downloaded. So the data will be moved towards the code. So that's the reason which is called code locality. So this is also another important interview question. People may ask, what is the data locality? What is the code locality? Okay, so it is a code locality, and HDFS is a data locality. Okay, it is the major one is client server architecture. It's a client server architecture. Okay, it is master slave architecture. It is master slave architecture. Here I have a high, so in the DFS there is no high availability. High availability. Here I have a high availability. We'll call HDFS HA. High availability, highly available. Even though the whole, even though one master node fails, still my cluster will be available because another master will be there. So these are the differences between this. If anyone asks what is the difference between the DFS versus HDFS, you should just say that. So DFS, these are the block size, no distributions, no fault. These are all we can talk about. Is this clear? Is this clear? Is this clear? Mahesh, Pramod.
No question.
You can always reach me by email.
Yeah. Mahesh, I'm not able to hear you. I don't know what's the problem. Okay, what is the next question is? So the next question is, what is the replication factor? What is the replication factor? Replication factor is very simple. Storing multiple copies. Replication factor is very simple. Storing multiple copies. Okay, storing multiple copies in the cluster. Storing multiple copies in the cluster. Why to store multiple copies in the cluster? Even though in case of any machine fails, data can bring from the other machine. Replication. What is a replication? What is a replication? Storing multiple copies. Duplicate. Storing multiple copies. Storing multiple copies in different machines. Okay, not in same machine, in different machines. We'll call replication factor. Why we require replication factor? Fault tolerant. In case of any one machine is failed, we can get the data from other machine. Okay, next, what is rack awareness? What is rack awareness? So it's very simple, guys, and also most important. So when you have a data in the multiple racks, so don't ask me what is a rack. So rack is nothing but a collection of machines will be there, and the data in the real-time clusters will be there in the data cluster racks wise. Okay, so even Hadoop also will be decided the racks, and you will be having one switch here, network switch. You'll be having one switch here. You'll be having one switch here, and all this connected to another switch here. So you'll be having nodes in this, machines in this. So those machines will call node. Okay, they're all connected, internally connected. Even the racks are connected, and the internal machines also connected. And the racks also connected, internally the machines also connected. Okay, so in these machines, few machines will consider the data nodes. Some are we will consider as a data name node, active name node. Let's say active name node. Some machine will call as a standby name node. Some machine will call as a client or edge node. So rest all data nodes. Okay, just all data nodes. So what is the rack awareness? Rack awareness says that store two blocks, I mean two copies, I mean to say. Okay, when I say two blocks, for normally our replication factor is 3, right? Normally our replication factor is 3, right? Replication factor 3 means if I have a one block, let's take I have one block, it will divide into 3 pieces. I mean 3 duplicates, not 3 pieces, 3 duplicates. Block is nothing but a piece of data, right? Block is nothing but a physical piece of data. Okay, this is also another important question. What is a block? Block is a physical piece of data which will store in a one node. Okay, so this block, let's say this block ID is 1 B1. So then its copy is B11. Its another copy is B12. 3 copies. B, we'll say B10, B11, B12. We can say like this. Okay, B10, B11, B2. These are 3 copies, right? So what rack awareness says that store 2 copies. When I say 2 blocks here, it means 2 copies in one rack. Other copy in other rack. Third copy in another rack. Very simple. The reason behind it here, let's say I have a block B10 here. I'll take a different color. B11 here. Okay, B12 here. So the reason behind it is, suppose I'm processing this data. If this data goes corrupted or this machine is down, I can, since my job is there in the same rack, it can easily communicate with the next mission. I mean, it can be in the any of the node. It don't need to be the next immediate node. It can be any of the node. In the rack, within the rack, the communication will be faster. Intercommunication within the rack is faster. Okay, so it can easily my master service, which is called your job tracker in case of Hadoop 1, he can easily tell to the task, hey, that mission is failed. No, you go and get another, you have a same copy in another mission, you go and launch there. So another copy of process can run here, right? So intercommunication within the rack is faster, so you easily find it. So suppose something happened to the whole rack, even the whole rack is failed, still we have a data available, here. So what it will happen, my job tracker, okay, no problem, the complete rack is not available, go and talk to the switch, because it knows that it has the metadata information, no, where and all the data is resides. So go and talk to there. So the data is in another rack. So let's say rack 2, this is R1, R2, R3. So we go to the rack 2 and launch the data there. I mean, launch the process there and process it. So this communication is a little slower, because from here it has to talk to this switch, and then it has to talk to this switch, then it has to talk to this switch, then it has to communicate with the node. So the communication is little slower. This is a rack awareness. That is the reason they have come up with 3. You may ask, why can't 4? Because with the 3 I'm able to achieve the better solution. So that's the reason they went through this. You may ask, sir, if that is the case, why can't they store like a B10 here, B11 here, B13 here, or 12, whatever it is? Why can't they store like this? So as I told you, intercommunication is faster. Let's say this is mission failed, again it has to go and talk to other rack. So that's the reason. So if they take only 2 copies, because there is a possibility, suppose if I keep 1 copy here, 1 copy here, so again the longer communication. If I keep both in the same, there is a possibility the complete rack can go down. So this is called rack awareness. Okay, so what other questions can ask in the interview? So I have stored the data in Hadoop. I have stored the data with the replication factors 2. With the replications 2, I want to change the replication for that. I want to change the replication for that file. Let's say the file name is Amazon. So the answer is, we can use the HDFS DFS minus set rip. You can say there are 2 options, W or capital R, then how many copies you want, 3, 5, or how many copies you want, and path. This is possible. We'll use the set rip command. Next question. What is the safe mode? What is safe mode? Anyone heard about this?
Yeah. So
Safe.
whenever name node crashes, or it has to restart then first it goes into safe mode, reconstructs all the links to the data nodes.
Yeah, it's not actually links. I'll tell you. Whenever name node start or restart. Okay, the first role of the name node is read edits. There is something called edit file. There will be something called edit file. We'll call edit file. Read edit file. Merge with fsimage. There is one more file called fsimage. This is the most important files. Okay, so in this edits, we'll be having the raw transactions. Operation code, who did the operation, when it has been done, what is the permissions of that operation. Those information will be there. In the file system, what is a file, whether it's a directory or a file, what is the file size, how many blocks are there, if the blocks are there, what is the block IDs of them, and who created the file, what is the permissions. That information will be there. It is completely file system information. It is completely log information. Okay, whenever name node start or restart, so the process is read the edits, merge with fsimage. So while doing this complete process, okay, let me put this way. While this process is happening, reading, merging, this process happening, it will be in a safe mode. That's the one scenario. Safe mode. Once the process is completed, all the data nodes will report to the name node, connect to the name node, and send the single block report, at least minimal block replication, minimal information about the blocks. Okay, when they send this block information, when this merge process is completed, your name node will come out of the safe mode. After completing the merge process. This is scenario 1. Scenario 2, admin can keep cluster into safe mode. For maintenance. It's very simple. Maintenance is nothing but merging the edits with fsimage, rollbacking the fsimage. So that while dealing with this maintenance work, they will put into the safe mode. So they cannot put regularly this into the safe mode. So what they will do, they will periodically, weekly, or whenever the business hours less, that time they will do. The third scenario, most of the people didn't aware this. When I have a more corrupted file systems in the cluster, more corrupted blocks in the cluster, more corrupted blocks in the cluster.
Then it automatically goes into safe mode, right?
So you can see this. Yes. To see this, you can execute the command. Hadoop fsck. Then you can give the file path. So you have a corrupted blocks. You have a list. There are different delete. There are different options are there. It will show the health of the file system. These are the 3 scenarios where name node can go into safe mode. Okay. So I have a small meeting now. I'll connect to you guys with after some time, or I'll ping you guys. Okay. So
Okay.
I'll wind up here, and there are a few more questions which I want to cover. I'll just make a note here. You guys can make a note. Safe mode is over. how to change block size. What is the high availability? We'll call what is the high availability. What is HDFS federation? Okay. Difference between secondary name node, standby name node. And some people ask secondary name node, checkpoint node. Okay, anyway, rack awareness, block placement policy, what is a block? What is the replication factor? We have already covered. Okay. Some people may ask, what is the write flow? What is data write flow? Okay. And some people ask, what is the get merge? What is the get merge? It's a command. Okay. Some people ask how to archive Hadoop files. How to archive Hadoop files. And some people, what is the, I want to copy data from different clusters. How to copy data from different cluster. How to copy data from the different cluster. 1 second, guys. Hello. Join అవుతున్నా. Okay. How to copy data from the different cluster. And one more question came into my mind and flashed. Archive. This is dist-cp. Okay, there is something called dist-cp. You can do with a dist-cp. Okay. Yeah, these are the very frequently asked questions from the Hadoop. Okay, so HDFS, I mean to say. So there won't be any other questions. Yeah, if any questions comes in the mind, we'll discuss in the next session. So by the time you guys connect, I want you guys to go through it, Google it, find the answers for them, and please make a note, prepare a notes. Okay. Yeah, that's it for now. Yeah, we'll connect in the tomorrow. I'll tell you the timings. I think I'm planning to connect your evening today, my morning tomorrow. Okay, so I'll let you know the timings.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye.